Hello, hello. How are we all doing today? It's just me here right now, but we'll see if some others join. Um, got a few updates. Let's see, what number coffee hour are we on? Da, da, da. And let's see. We're on coffee hour number 18 or 19. Sorry, coffee hour 19. Um, let's see. One big update, not necessarily on amateur to pro, but from the Darkstream Music Management standpoint, we formally announced a little over a week ago uh, that Steev Esquivel, from known specifically from the band Skin Lab, has joined as a co-founder and partner with Darkstream Music Management. With that, kind of made a few different changes and whatnot from the Darkstream standpoint that does have an impact on the amateur to pro a little bit. Just a little bit of, I guess, historical backgrounds. Like, as I first started the idea of Darkstream Music Management, it was a combination of managing bands and developing bands. But as we're going into this, as it evolved, I saw a bigger need for the development side of things and less on the management. Mainly because a lot of the artists I was talking to, they honestly they weren't ready for management. Management is something in place when you are fairly well established. There's some presence out there, decent fan base, and candidly, income. Are bands that are making a steady amount of income monthly from the band, the music, and so on. But most of the artists that I were working with and chatting with, they weren't there. There was a lot of aspects from a foundational standpoint, for how they operate, things like that, or didn't have a fan base or was just starting out, which is actually what led me to create Amateur to Pro Music, the community, the YouTube, and so on. And as things have evolved and bringing in Steev, definitely focusing Darkstream specifically for management, bringing in bands that are fairly well established and, taking, putting them in front of the right people. That, the main things that were missing was, the network and plugging into the industry a little bit further, and less on the development side. So with that, Darkstream Music Management, as it stands right now, is exclusively for managing established bands, and also be another thing from previously. Like, I was very open to all different types of genres and things like that when it come to Darkstream, but we've evolved Darkstream to be more targeted and niche. Like, definitely focusing on the metal, rock, industrial, stuff on that end. So a lot of the acts that we're currently working with and talking to, they've predominantly been on that side, while, again, amateur to pro is genre agnostic. It can be, these methodologies, and these foundational aspects, it's across genres. It's not specific. So a lot of the so the Darkstream stuff will be a lot more targeted and more involved, and amateur to pro music is going to be more separate. However, amateur to pro music you know, I will be working still pretty heavily on that side to help grow and develop musical artists. Um, gain, using the artist operating system, kind of getting that in place. Currently developing the assets and curricula for what I call a foundations to success. You um, the operating system is more, how do you work as a band? How do you set that mission? How do you set your 3-year vision? How do you set goals for the year? How do you set quarterly goals and projects, and have regular meetings with your band? Looking at things like data, um, and in turn, continuing to grow as an individual. Like I said, an operating system. Foundations to success is more on the side of, have you created a website? Are you registered with a PRO? Are you copywriting your music? Have you linked your artist profile pages from the different streaming services? Those kind of administrative aspects that need to be in place. So the foundations for success is more of like getting registered and set up, and to make sure that you're not leaving money on the table, and you are registered with the appropriate organizations and whatnot. More of like a one-time thing and systematic updates, versus the operating system is, how do you work, how do you work day to day? How do you do projects to, how do you tackle specific areas to grow your fan base, to grow your presence and things like that. And yeah, also, we've started seeing some new members, been working some stuff on the back end. Since the last coffee hour, we've gotten, we're at 45 members now. Some of you may have started noticing some new posts and things like that, and new comments from people like Neil Winters. Welcome, Neil. Actually, I think I'm going to do a little shout out here for all the new members. I'm going to share my screen. And yeah, so just recently we got Jason Alsobrook, we got Joshua McNerney, Antoine Philippe Dewampi. Looks like he is coming to us from Africa. Yep. Yeah, from Senegal. We got LaRon Terhune. We got Reginald Boyd. We got Neil Winters, Cameron Collins, Paul Parsons. Yep. Kenneth Lepping, Mr. Kickbeats, Nick Ekbream. He's tapping. We got Ann Dresa, and Jeremy Yates. Yeah, those are some of the new folks. So welcome, everybody. As you're joining, don't hesitate to reach out, start a post, ask questions, and welcome to the community. Some things from the YouTube front. Posted some new content videos just to kind of go over some of those. A few weeks ago, posted. Did this. I'm doing. I mean, you're seeing the back end. Well, actually, you're not. Hold on. Let me share this. There we go. All right. So a few weeks ago, I've got an A/B testing. So the title might be different from there, but in essence, created a video around how you scale the marketing, especially as a new band, new artist. A lot of folks, they kind of focus on posting content every day, but it's really targeted to the releases that they have, but they're missing some aspects related to awareness and collaboration. So even before you have any type of music or releases, you gotta grab people's attention. So, created a short little video here on how to really focus on the right scaling of it. And then 2 weeks ago, posted one pattern no one's talking about with AI and music. This one's definitely seen some traction. The AI, as we all know, is definitely the hot topic right now within the music industry. And the main focus on this one is more around, so in essence, what we're seeing with it is it's very polarizing. You have a lot of independent artists and stuff basically freaking out, doom saying, hey, this is going to be the end of us. This is going to be the end of quality music and things like that. And then you've got the other side where more on like, the business side of things, where a lot of music industry companies are excited for AI. Like they think this is going to be the next big thing. And kind of what I share is some historical examples to kind of help share, like, look, AI is not going to destroy music. It's not going to destroy the music industry, but it is going to change it. And talking about different ways in which to adapt to AI and how to stand out, in the noise of AI, and all of that. And then last week, I published one, about communication. And this came up because of a few recent phone calls, messages, and stuff that I've gotten from some friends. Some people are members of this community, some people are outside of it. But I had at least 3 different instances where someone was reaching out with huge problems and was needing some assistance on, how to broach the subjects, how to communicate with their bandmates, how to come to agreement and stuff like that. And in this, I go over 2 different communication techniques that I've used for 20 years. They're you can get more details in if you watch the video, but in essence, there's 2 main techniques. One is I call it the stew conversation, seek to understand. Some of you have probably heard, the cliche, seek to understand before being understood. That's where that derives from. So having a safe space to get the other person's side of the story. A lot of folks, in any situation, music or not music, something happens, someone does something, someone's not doing something, whatever the case is, and you immediately have a preconceived notion that something's wrong or what could be causing it. And what the stew conversation does is gives the other parties a chance to share their side of it before making a decision, things like that. The other technique is something called SBI, which stands for situation, behavior, and impact. And this is a technique that can also very well be used in the stew conversation, where it is more of a way to impart feedback or questions, start subjects in a way that's non-confrontational, and is not demeaning or demoralizing to the other person, not jumping to conclusions as much as just sharing, hey, here was the situation, here was the behaviors you did, and this is the impact of your behaviors in that situation. and imparting it, like I said, in a non-confrontational way that gives all parties a safe space to provide feedback, context, and details. Yeah, so go check those out. Um, working on a few other ideas, but I'm always interested in learning. Like what are some topics that you would like to see addressed and tackled? In fact, I think I'll just go ahead and make a post right now. So, all right. Um, we'll call it hot topics, not the store. Um, mm, um, I'm trying to figure out how to frame this. So, in essence, like I want to start with a question to you all. Um, um, yeah. All right. What's one question that you want answered? Actually, I think that's a better title. So that's what we'll do. See how you all are witnessing the evolution. Um, and yeah, let's see if that's pretty good. So, content, I'd like to hear from you. If you could give the answer to one question, what would that question be? Let's see. And let's post a GIF. Oh, puppies. Should go with, well, yeah, I love puppies. I'm going to send it as an email as well. So for those of you who aren't joining here right now, you'll probably get an email here in a moment. Uh, and check that out. Yep. Bam. There it is. All right. Let's see. Any other updates going on? I've been working on some music. Um, Started working on a song. The working title of it is "Drown." But I've also run into some computer issues, so I'm going to have to start working from uh, a different computer here soon, and just got to migrate all of my tools and stuff. So that's going to be fun. Um, I think I'm going to pin this. Uh, um, Pin to feed. Forgot that it layers it that way, but I'll leave it that way just to see, do a little testing, see if that gets some more engagement, stuff like that. Um, all right. Oh yeah, I did the AMA a couple weeks ago. I'm still editing that. I had some technical issues and stuff like and whatnot, but that will be posted on YouTube here, hopefully this week. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on at the moment. Still need to put up coffee hour number 18. I have it. I just need to upload it and publish it. So I'll work to get that done this afternoon. So that should be out there. Yeah. Oh, let's see what other fun things. I think yeah, just yeah, share some stuff on the Dark Side website. So made some updates and changes here to the website. Added some things here around, are you ready for management? The who we are. Slight updates here, just kind of showcasing myself and Steve, what we do, kind of our mission statement and core values, the services. So for this, these are the different services we do from a management standpoint, and then putting in some questions around, are you ready for management and where they can go, and how to contact us. So, if you got some general inquiries or you feel that you're ready for management, you can submit a request form. Otherwise, pointing people here. The roster. So we haven't announced any bands or anything like that. So both Steve and I have been working with some bands informally for a while now, and now that we've formally established Darkstream and those items, we're now having those discussions with those bands to see if they're ready and interested to join the team. As they start coming on, we'll start sharing announcements there. So if you're not, follow Darkstream Music Management on Facebook and Instagram for those types of updates. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I think that might be it on my side. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's it for this week. If you have any questions, definitely post something in the group. Send me a chat directly. Whatever the case may be. And yeah, we'll see you next week.